This Tamil film has an insane 15-minute long single take, which just blew my mind. But is that the only thing in the film? Why does it get so much hate? Let's talk about it. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and today we're talking about Karthik Subbaraj's Retro. Now because of that release issue, I couldn't catch it in theaters. And watching it on OTT, I do feel that because I knew the film got very mixed to negative reviews, and watching the film late, especially after watching Thug Life, I can appreciate this film more. And that shows that timing really matters when you watch a film, in which context you watch a film. Retro as a film has a very distinct style. It is the voice of the filmmaker behind it. Everything that happens in the film is a choice made by the director to follow his vision for the film. And he stays faithful to that vision throughout. At no point we see any cheap tricks being used or taking some easy route to tell the story. There was no unnecessary fan service that I at least noticed. At every time there was a unique approach to tell the narrative. And that was very refreshing. Now I can understand it's very subjective. It really depends on how you are viewing the film. How are you judging it? If you put this film in the parameters of a big hero, big director coming together commercial mainstream film, where you expect certain things to happen, to have those high moments, to have that hero versus villain battle, to compare it with other films of this genre, this film may not pass that test. For me personally, this film may not rank very high on the efficiency of storytelling. It may not come up in the talks for the best films of the year, but it was still a very unique experience. And it stands out to me because I didn't see any baggage of the stardom. It never felt like they are trying to please the fans of Suriya. It never felt like just another commercial hero film. On the other hand, Suriya is using his stardom to take this different vision of Karthik Subbaraj to the masses by not just acting in it but also producing it. Now to dive deep into the film, I need to get into the spoilers, so if you have seen the film, then only continue watching. Now as the name of the film goes, retro, the film is following the retro style, be it the vibe, the colors, the costumes, the hairdo. You are in that old 80s, 90s era, and it tries to recreate that filmy look of that time. And we directly start from the backstory of our character. Not the whole backstory, where he comes from, who is he, but we start the point from where we see how his character will develop, what he'll become. He's introduced to us as an orphan who's reluctantly adopted by a gangster because the wife could never produce one, and it is established that this kid cannot smile, cannot laugh. The reasoning behind is all the trauma he had, which we get more into later. Over that, he has daddy issues. He's a very aggressive kid, and to control that aggression, he gets into martial arts, which makes him a great asset for the stepdad. And from there, his journey continues as he becomes a thug or a gangster. And we move with this backstory really quick. It's convincing enough. And the next 10 minutes, the love angle is also set up. Paari and Rukmini have bonded over losing their parent, and they have created this bond which makes them stay together. Now, to hold on to the love, Paari needs to change. He cannot really continue his life as a gangster if he really wants to be with her. And that's where his hero's journey begins. From the familiar world, he needs to step out of it to get into the unfamiliar world, to leave everything behind. But what stops him from doing it, the big conflict, is his stepdad, played wonderfully by Jojo George. And of course, there was this whole element of goldfish, which is missing from some African, country and all of that, which honestly for me was kind of a weaker plot point. But then we get into the wedding, where we get that 15-minute long take. I actually calculated, went back from a point where it started to the point it ends. It's almost around roughly 15 minutes. And I have to say, it's one of the most glorious single take I've seen in a film. And it's not about gimmicks. It's not about, the hidden cuts. Because most of these long takes, they, plant a hidden cut which you don't even see. But in this film, at least what I found and I noticed watching it, I don't think there are any hidden cuts. Unless I'm wrong. And that tells you how well they pulled it off. I think what makes this one hour very impressive is that it's not just about, following a character and what's going on. It's telling a story. We start from the wedding celebration. The stepdad comes in with the goons. And it's still very pleasant. Nothing has gone wrong. It's fine. But the tension is building up slowly. From there, we get into a full-on choreographed dance. And the middle of it, the story continues. From there, we go to the terrace for a confrontation scene. And it's dealing with some different emotions altogether. This scene leads to the big conflict between these two characters. And now the tension is more high. And now the mood changes from being a celebration to hostility. The stakes are high. From there, we go back to the dance sequence. Again, choreographed. The tension is mounting. Things are getting out of control. From there, we go on to another confrontation, which is more hostile. And it leads to violence. And we get a full-on action sequence there, and it's still not over. It's continuing. The tension goes through the roof. We come back to the dance, and now we have come to a point of no return. Whatever happens now, there's no coming back from it for the characters. And at this point, our hero takes that decision and chops off the hand. And that's the inciting incident of the film. The same thing could have been pulled off with cuts. Nothing in the narrative would change. But because of this one, the way things proceed, it is done so well that you are just hooked. And maybe because it was so good that the film goes to some other level from here. I don't know there's anything else that you could do again in the film that reaches that peak. And maybe that's why a lot of people were disappointed. You don't really desire a film to reach its peak at the 1/3 mark of the runtime, and then we never even go back or surpass that later in the film. Now we get to the transition phase. Everything is over for the hero. The bond has broken off. He goes to jail and he has a very clear objective in his mind what he wants. He just wants to get back with her, and he'll do whatever it takes to do that. And that clearly sets up our hero's motivation. What does he want to achieve and how far he's willing to go to do that. That's the journey we are gonna see, and that's what will drive the narrative ahead. Now from here we go into the fantasy element of the story. Something similar what Thug Life did in the second half. We go to this island which is being ruled by oppressive kings who have taken the people of the island as slaves since the time of the Britishers, and sets up the typical narrative of our hero who has to come to the island in search of the love he wants, and that journey he'll end up saving the people also from the oppressors, and then we'll get a happy ending. Now the film follows something like that but in a very different style. Now by the interval he does get his love back, but through cheating, and he finally smiles. The organic smile, the happiness he felt within, and it comes out on his face. I really like those moments before that where he look at the mirror trying to laugh, trying to express, trying to smile, but he just couldn't. And when that moment comes at the interval, it feels so organic, it is done so well, and it goes to the performance of Suriya. Our hero got the love, he smiled, his arc is over, but no, it's not complete yet. He's yet to put on the test, and his real dhammam awaits. Now the world they created with this island, they have a cult there, and it kind of reminded me of Hit 3. Interestingly, both the films released on the same day, and they have quite a lot of similarities. Now the portrayal of this island and everything that's happening, it's very surface level, but it is enough to take the story ahead. I don't think this was the film to really explore it. But the interesting part was how all of this was a parallel that they're set up. It's basically an adaptation of the story of Lord Krishna's birth and Kans. It's kind of a modern retelling of it, but in a very wacky way. The legend that one kid will be born, will come and end the evil. And the way they put all of this in the story is the surprise element for me. It just raised the film for me from being just an entertainer to something more. And we get to the backstory and find out how he ended up in the beginning of the film as an orphan, and that he is the one who will free them. His true calling has come. And I've really found this whole concept really cool. It's very much like what we saw in Jigatanda XXL, where it was also about fighting oppression. But in that film, it kind of came out of nowhere in the third act. But the way it enhanced the story, that made that film great. And with Retro, I feel the way they connect everything, it's more organic. Now at this point, I felt that the whole love angle with Rukmini's character, played by Pooja Hegde very well, kind of got sidelined, and this main conflict took the forefront. Now coming to the villains of the film, Nasir was definitely undercooked, but King Michael, played by Vidhu, I don't think I've seen him before. I'm guessing he's kind of a new actor, and he did well. You know, he played him very crazy. It worked also for the film, but it was just not menacing enough. You know, that character never felt a formidable force against our hero. And I don't think the fault is in the writing or the performance, but maybe a better casting would have enhanced it. Maybe someone like Karthik, putting him against Suriya, that would have been more engaging. Or maybe some other actor who has some baggage of his own, who has this image, who can really take on Suriya, and it would be more fun for us to watch. But that's just a thought. Now the action throughout the film is really good. The martial arts, the hand-to-hand combats, done really well. But in the climax, the action we got, the over-the-top sequences, all those jumping scenes, like it kind of gave me an anime vibe where you know it's wire work, but it's done very, you know, stylistically. Like some of the zoom-ins, you know, the jumps, the landing, it was very much like anime. And not like, you know, how people say South Indian cinema and the action is very much anime where this, you know, people jump and all of that. Specifically, the style of the action in this film reminded me of animes. Like all the live-action anime adaptations should hire the action team of this film. Another standout for me was how they end the film with a classic Karthik Subbaraj touch, how we bring back the whole smiling and laughing concept for these slaves who have been oppressed for so long, who only knew pain and cried, and today when they are rebelling against the oppression, they have way bigger weapons than their oppressors. The tables have turned, but still the biggest rebellion is their laughter. And the way this point is executed cinematically, I loved it. Retro is a creative expression of Karthik Subbaraj. It's not about the chances he took, but the choices he made. We see when Surya is in the right hands, he can do wonders. His challenge was to act normal in an eccentric world. Maybe this film is not everyone's cup of tea, but it's not because of lack of something, but just because it's so new and different. Maybe in time it gets more acceptance. But such unique approach to storytelling is always welcome, because that's how cinema evolves, and so do we as viewers. Now to see the other side of this, where storytelling actually lacks, check out my Thug Life review. What went wrong with the Legends comeback? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you next time.